All right, what is up, tycoons? What's up, traders? Super excited for today's video. We're going to be taking a look at Vertex Energy, ticker symbol VTNR. This is a viewer request for an update, so if you want to see your stock in the next video, all you've got to do is comment down below, and I'll be happy to get to it as soon as I can. Now, we're going to go over some of the bullish price targets, okay? This thing has been pulling back very, very hard. We're also going to go over the key levels that we need to hold. Otherwise, we're going to be bearish below there. And we'll also take a look at the MACD and the RSI and how you can use these to help give yourself an edge in the market. Okay, by spotting potential entry and exit signals based off of those indicators. So we're gonna go over all of that, explain how I come up with these things. So make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. With that being said, we're gonna jump straight into it now. And the first thing I want to cover is you can see we have these series of yellow lines on the chart. What these are is these are the three major Fibonacci retracement levels. Those are going to be the 61.8, the 50%, and the 38.2% levels. Now, the reason you use these is because nothing moves in a straight line down or in a straight line up. Rather, you get a move down, retracement, continuation of the trend, or you get a move up, retracement, continuation of the trend, right? So, that's how you would use it to spot trend continuation. So if we look right here, we've had this really, really big move up, right? And we're retracing right now to our healthy retracement levels. So below 763, that's going to be our 61.8% level. And if we break below there, we have the potential to really get a reversal because that's how you also use the fibs, right? So if you move down, retrace, consolidate, and then break through, that's how you can spot an upside reversal. And that's actually what we got right here in the last video when I gave the major levels of resistance we needed to break out above to get an uptrend, right? So if you see here, we have a high and now we have a higher high. Okay, so we have gotten a reversal there, and we're going to see if we can put in a low, higher low, and another higher low and continue this uptrend and put in higher lows, right? But keep in mind, if you move up, retrace, and then consolidate and break through those levels, that's how you could spot a downside reversal. So we've had the really, really strong push up since the beginning of the year, right? If we pull back here, consolidate and break through that 763 level and flip that from support to resistance, most likely we're going to see a reversal and retest some of our previous lows, if not potentially come back down to 540, which is the temporary bottom that we have right here. Okay, now what are some of the signals that could have led on a technical analysis wise to you getting an entry and capturing this really nice move from 540 all the way up to $11? Well, I have here highlighted we have a double bottom, right? So we have a bottom here and then we have another bottom here. So that's about one strategy that you can use, okay? Chart patterns, double bottoms. I did a whole video recently covering my favorite chart patterns and some of the best chart patterns to watch as beginners. So if you want to watch that video, just type in ZachlyTrades chart patterns and it'll pull right up. Now, on top of that, you can also use the relative strength index. And in this case, we actually have a bullish divergence. So if you're not familiar with that, I'll explain it to you really quickly. It's very simple, but take a look how we have a low right here, and then we have an equal low, right? So we're pretty much, going sideways when it comes to the price action of this stock, right? We're just making equal lows. Well, if you take a look on the relative strength index, which, obviously this is going to measure the relative strength of a stock at its given price. So it should be following typically the price of the stock. If the stock goes up, it should be going up. If the stock goes down, it should be going down. But oftentimes you can find divergences. And so if you take a look here, we actually are making higher lows on the relative strength index at the same exact point where we're making equal lows. So in this case, this would be a slight bullish divergence because the stock price has gone sideways, but we've actually increased in relative strength and put in a low and a higher low on the RSI. And you can see once we came down and made that higher low after making the equal low here, we got a nice bounce and then we had some really good follow through, okay? And so the second thing that you can look at is going to be the MACD, right? And so you can see here at this point that I've highlighted, we actually have this red line here crossing above the blue line. Now, typically, this would be known as an entry signal, okay? When this red line crosses above the blue line. And so you see, ultimately, now we have three things, okay, leading to a possible bullish move in the price of VTNR. We have the double bottom. That's our first one, okay, the double bottom. Then number 2, we have the bullish divergence on the relative strength index. And number 3 here, we have our crossover on the MACD. Okay, and so you can see that this plays out first, right? The bullish divergence, and then we get the crossover, and then we really get that follow through. And ultimately, we get that reversal as well, where we come up, we consolidate at our price levels, we break out, retest, and really push up higher. Now, if you're wondering what all of these big blue boxes on the chart are, these are what's known as gaps, okay? And so take a look how there's a gap between this candle and this candle right here. And these gaps, they tend to fill about 90% of the time. Now, some of them can fill very quickly, all right? We're looking at a daily time frame. So we can see here that, this gap filled in essentially, or is trying to fill in essentially about 2 weeks. Now, we're currently at the halfway point of this gap right now. And if we get a reversal, half gap fills tend to be either very bullish or bearish, just depending if it's a gap up you're trying to fill or a gap down you're trying to fill. So if we don't continue filling the rest of this gap and head back down to 831, to the 830 level, then we could actually get a nice little pop here. If you take a look, we have this really, really huge gap, right? And this stock has gapped around earnings a lot, right? This is these little E's right here are earnings, and you can see it initially gapped down, made a huge, huge, huge gap up to fill. And you can see after we came up here and hit our bullish price target of 1111, we basically filled like half of that gap, and you can see that we actually got a bearish move afterwards. So that's what I mean in a really good visualization of just showing you guys that, hey, a half gap fill could mean, if it's an upside gap that you're filling, that could be a bearish signal, and a half gap fill on a downside gap you're filling, that could be a bullish signal. So most likely it's going to try and continue filling this gap and maybe even break 831. But if we do actually find some support here, we could see a short-term rally, just depending on, where things go. Now, what are some of the signals that we can use to really break down the current price action versus everything in the past, right? Well, if we look here at our MACD, it is just now starting a crossover. Okay, so the red line did just barely cross down below that blue line. All right, and there's a possibility it could curve back up, and that could be a false signal. But if you take a look in the past, most of the time it's been a really good entry and exit signal. So here we have the exit signal, red line crosses below the blue line, and you see we get a nice move to the downside. All right, over here as well, we get the red line crossing below the blue line. We had that big, strong move to the downside, and it's worked many, many times in the past. So it's definitely something you want to watch out for. Even over here, right, we get a move to the downside. So just be, careful, be aware that most likely, if this continues to head lower, that this stock is going to continue to head lower as well. And we could come down and test that 763 if we break through our 831. And ultimately, if we flip 763 from support to resistance, then most likely we're going to head back lower and get a retest of some of our previous lows within this range right here. Now, when it comes to the RSI, we were extremely overbought. So over that dotted line right there, that's 70, and above 70 is the technical definition of overbought. And we were definitely overbought. So we are starting to pull back. But look, if we pull back and continue to head back down, we have a chance of possibly retesting and bouncing off of our bullish divergence trend line that initially helped fuel and spark this rally. So that could be somewhere to look for a potential bounce if we continue to head lower, is back off of that initial bullish divergence trend line. And if it breaks through there, then that's going to be a pretty bearish signal. If it, bounces and breaks through, that's going to be something else you want to be cautious of as well. Now, if we continue to get some more bullishness, all right, and we end up finding some support and we look to implement kind of a 3-wave up, 1111 is still going to be that really big resistance level. And above there, the next price target is going to be 1194. If we come up to those areas, I'll be happy to do an update video. And if we break below 763, I'll be happy to do an update video as well. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you did, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget, I do these viewer requests every week. So if you want to see your stock, your crypto, whatever it is in the next video, all you got to do is comment down below and I'll get to it as soon as I can.